Hey, what's up, everybody? Going to go through the NBA model predictions and the college predictions again today. There are only 3 games today. The LA and Dallas game, those 2 teams did not play yesterday. All 4 other teams did. So here we got what the market range has been, what the model's predicting, and which side it is based on what the market's been so far. All right, so 14 games yesterday. Here's what the model did on those games. The model got 4 of the spreads correct all day. There were 5 other games where it would have depended what time you would have made your bet. Some of the day it was over, some it was under on the spread. Well, one team or the other. And then there was 5 other games that it missed all day. On the total side, there were 5 games that it was correct all side. All day. There was 5 others that it would have depended, and then 4 of them were wrong all day. So it was a pretty good day overall with 14 different games going. So we'll get into today's games now. All right, so the first game is going to be Milwaukee going to OKC. The model likes OKC 115 to 107. It's been about that same spread all week long. It started at 10, then it dropped down to 7, and it slowly built its way back up. So within about 3 points all week long on that spread. And then on the total side, the model has liked it right around 220 up to about 225 one day, 225 and a half. So Vegas has it as OKC at 12.5 to 13.5 point favorites. They have the total at 214.5. So the model is liking the Milwaukee spread side. It is liking the over side. Injury information. What does have Milwaukee perhaps without Ryan Rollins tonight? He's questionable on top of obviously Giannis. AJ Mitchell is questionable for OKC. J-Dub is also questionable for OKC on top of SGA. So J-Dub's been playing, just recently back from injury, second day of a back-to-back. I would not expect to see him. AJ Mitchell, I'm not sure. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I'm honestly a little surprised Chet or Hartenstein aren't on there. I honestly wouldn't expect or be surprised to see one of them perhaps end up on the rest list again, although they are off for the All-Star break now. So maybe they'll all play given all of that, but the model, like I said, has been pretty strong on OKC, just not quite on the gap that they have. They have it pretty high on the spread at 13. If J-Dub and SGA don't play and Rollins ends up playing, Milwaukee played pretty well against Orlando last night. They ended up winning that game. Was not expecting that. They have won 4 of their last 5. The 3 in a row that were before that were Chicago, New Orleans, and Indiana, so wasn't putting a lot into that one, but the Orlando one looked a lot more impressive. Even New Orleans has been playing pretty well, so that wasn't really too bad of a loss. Milwaukee is 10-18 on the road. They're 4-6 in their last 10, and they are 4-1 in their last 5. OKC is 22-5 at home. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They are 3-2 in their last 5. So Milwaukee actually has the better last 5 record out of these 2 teams, but that's just 5 games. OKC's been much better all year. OKC's also won the only head-to-head, 122 to 102. That game was in Milwaukee on the 21st of January. So on offensive and defensive ratings, Milwaukee is at 112, which is respectable. OKC is up at 118, so pretty good. And their defense is 107, so very good. Milwaukee's defensive rating is pretty bad. It's 116. I do think it's gotten a little bit better on the recent one. I think it used to be higher than that, but either way, they are losing on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball in this matchup. OKC will be down at least SGA. If J-Dub doesn't play, that's another big hit, but they have plenty of people that can fill in. I just don't know if I would want to take them on that big of a spread. I don't know that I would want to take Milwaukee against that spread for OKC because Milwaukee has some really off shooting nights, and if they're not shooting well, then they don't play well. Their defense is not going to stop them. So I wouldn't really necessarily want to take a spread side. The total looks low enough that it's very tempting to go on the over. It has been over every day this week. J-Dub being out could hurt that, but it honestly, I feel like last game before the break, I don't know. I like the over on this. I really do. I think both teams even with the possible injuries they have, do have enough offense that they can play. And you're only looking at like a 110 to 105 to cover that. So that's not or not necessarily unattainable or anything like that. So I think I would lean the over as my favorite pick on this. Not a huge fan of the spread. I wouldn't blame you going either way, really. OKC could cover. It's just so high. And Milwaukee could cover, but the blowout risk in this game, even without the stars, is always there. All right, next game we have is going to be Dallas going to LA. We will not get to see Luka against his old team in this one. He is showing his out. They didn't play yesterday, so their injury list should be pretty updated, unlike some of these back-to-back teams. So they have Doncic out, and Ayton is questionable. Marshall is out or is questionable for Dallas, and Cooper Flag is showing his out. So big hit on Dallas. The model's not going to reflect that in there. So the model likes LA 122 to 116, a 6-point spread. Vegas is pretty much right in line with that. They are at 6.5 to 7.5 on the spread. They're at 232.5 to 234.5 on the total. The model's at 238. So it's on the over side. It is on the Dallas side with Cooper Flag out and Najee Marshall questionable. I think I would be fully on the LA side of this matchup on the spread. I would expect that to go up once everything else gets verified or once people realize that Cooper Flag's not playing, because he's been most of that team recently. So they don't have Klay Thompson on there at all. I know he was on the list last game. I don't know if he ended up playing or not, but PJ Washington, Gafford, Christie, they're all on there. Dallas can possibly score some points. LA will give them up, but I just don't see Dallas hanging around. Dallas already only has a 108 offensive rating, and that's with Cooper Flag in recent games. So that's pretty bad. Definitely below average. LA is a 114.5, so they are above average. Luke has been out for a few games, so all of that is at least somewhat kind of working its way into the model. Neither team's great on defense. Dallas is slightly better at 115, LA at 117.4. So not a huge benefit to either team on the defensive side. It's more the LA offense. And they definitely still have enough players. Austin Reeves does show in the starting lineup tonight, so that'll be good for them. He's played pretty well in the games he's been back. On the model, if you look at the Dallas score, it's actually been pretty steady throughout the week. Started at about 115, dropped only down to 113.6 and as high as 115.9 today. Their offense, I would not expect to get anywhere near that with Flag and possibly Marshall out. That's a lot of their offense this year. LA's has been steadily rising, even with Doncic out. They were started the week at 118. They went up to 119 by day 3. They're up to 122 now. So it has been rising on that. I don't think Ayton being out will be a huge issue on that side. So I would like Dallas to cover the spread. Like I said, I think it's just leaning that way. The model's already leaning that way without this injury information in there. So I do like that. Part of that is Dallas has just been pretty bad lately. They have lost 8 in a row, 2-8 in their last 10, 5-17 on the road. So that 8-game losing stretch is what's been kind of letting LA go up in points too. Is Dallas isn't necessarily getting blown out, scoring a lot less, but they have been letting a lot more points in. So LA is 14-10 at home. They're 6-4 in their last 10, 3-2 in their last 5. LA has won both games. They won 129-119 in LA back at the end of November and 116-110 in Dallas on the 24th of January. So they have a 6-point win. They have a 10-point win. So the spread is right there in the middle. I would take LA. On the total side, I think you're wanting to wait a little bit more. See if Najee Marshall can go for Dallas. I think that helps the overside. If he does sit, and if Ayton sits, I think that could actually hurt LA's defense possibly a little more than their offense. Not sure. Probably a bit of both, but I think I would probably lean on the I don't know. I don't know on the total because the model's going over. I'm thinking a little bit under, but I also see if Reeves gets hot, if James has a good game, Laravia can make some shots, Smart can hit some threes. They are at home. So if Dallas can put up some points and keep up, I could see this going over, but I do think the under is more likely. All right, here is the last NBA game before we get into college games. Quite a few college if you want to stick around. Portland at Utah for this game. I honestly had to double check that Portland is favored by 7.5 on this. Utah has not looked bad with Triple J in there. They have Keontae George is questionable tonight, so either way, it's got the spread is about 122 to 116 ish, about 5 points on the spread for the model, 7.5 towards Portland on Vegas, and they have the total at about 239 to 40. So the model is slightly under, a couple points under, and it is on the Utah side of the money line and of the spread. So Utah at plus money, I like. They're at home. They've been playing better since the trade. They're on a 2-game win streak. They beat Sacramento last night pretty bad. Not obviously a great win there, but they did still win that game. So the game before that, though, and they did win by 28. So very good on the margin there. And then they beat Miami before that. So with Triple J in there, they're looking pretty good. I don't see him on the injury list. Obviously, second day of a back-to-back, some of these things could pop in later in the day. But Keontae George looks like he may come back. Collier's been playing excellent with him in there or with him out. So when he comes back, that goes back to the bench. That's an awesome distributor coming off the bench to play with these players. Shaedon Sharpe on the other side is also questionable. But the model was liked Utah all week long, even before they got on this 2-game win streak. Because Portland is 3-7 in their last 10, 3-2 in their last 5. The only 2 were back-to-backs over Memphis after Memphis traded everybody away. And Memphis almost won the second game of that. So Portland had a 6-game losing streak before that. I do not understand how they are favored by 7.5 points in this. I am fully on the Utah spread side unless there's some late injury information. If Keontae George isn't ready to go, if Triple J ends up not playing, if Markkanen takes a night off, those are the 3 players that would make me question this a lot more. But at 7.5 points, I love that Utah spread side. That is probably my favorite pick of this NBA slate today. I mean, Utah is obviously a hard pick, but the way they've played the last couple games, to win by 28 points last night, even if it is Sacramento just played and only lost by 6 to the Cavs. So it's not like a super easy pushover team. They lose a lot. They've lost like 14 straight now, but they haven't been blown out in all of them, and Utah blew them out very easily. So I do like Utah on the spread side. Utah's offensive rating is only 112, but it's still better than Portland in recent games at 110. Portland's defensive rating in recent games is terrible at 119. Utah's has been better in recent games at 113. So recent games, Utah has the advantage offensively. They have the advantage defensively. Just from the eye test of the last couple games, it looks like Triple J is going to fit in there very well. I can imagine it's only going to get better if Keontae George gets back in the starting lineup. To still have Collier there on the bench to come in. That I just, it's crazy to me that it's 7.5. I've thought this before and been absolutely wrong, but it just seems completely mispriced to me. Portland has won both head-to-heads. They won 136 to 134 in Utah back at the end of October, so very beginning of the season. And then they did win by 20, 137 to 117 in Portland on the 5th of January. But Utah's been going through a lot, and Utah is finally coming on the other side of that. It looks like Nurkic is healthy, Markkanen's healthy, it looks like George might be healthy. So I do think this total, even being that high, does have risk on the over. Both of these teams can score, and neither one of them is super good at defense. So Utah, I do think they are going to continue to get better at defense once they get now that they have Nurkic and Triple J in there. So that should be good for them. So I still like the under better. That if I had to pick one, that is the way I would go. The model's right there on the line. It's half a point on the underside of the lowest range that it's been. But again, favorite pick by far is Utah on the spread. 7.5 points just seems like way too much to be giving them right now in this matchup. Portland has not been a great team recently, so they haven't earned that to me. All right, here are the college basketball picks for today. The model's confidence for the day is on the right side. It orders them, puts all the games in order, orders them from confidence based on a few different calculations. And so the highest confidence for the day is High Point and then Winthrop, Southern Illinois. You'll notice a lot of these are smaller schools on this first page. These are ones you'll want to look a little bit more into. If a star player gets hurt, if they get in foul trouble, something like that, it can throw a game a whole lot more. So you really want to make sure there's a lot of data pointing in that direction on these. High Point, their spread right now is right there around 14.5. So it's in line with Vegas. It started on the South Carolina upstate side earlier in the week at 12.5 point spread, and it has worked its way up the last 3 days right there with Vegas. Winthrop on the other side, you can see it's been fluctuating right around 10.7 up to 12.7, down to 11.8, and then fluctuated down and up again. So it's pretty confident Winthrop is going to win. It's just not sure on the size of the spread. That spread is actually at about 20.5 points right now. So that one, it's a very, very high spread for small schools. Obviously, it probably could happen if Vegas is putting it there. But the model is pretty heavily on the Gardner website. It's just not sure, and that just look into it if you're going to use that one. I haven't looked deep into any of these college games, just ran the models. All right, and then on this page, just more of the same, but different schools. So make sure the spread is going in the like Fairleigh Dixon started at 4. It's gone up and went to 6.7 and dropped back down to 5. So it overcorrected and then it recorrected itself back down to 5. If it's in that 5-point range today, that might be something that would be worth considering. It's at 7.5 right now, but the model is trending in the right direction for that one. So it might be something you want to look at. All of these games today do seem to be smaller schools. As you go down in confidence, it's either one of two things. Either the model predicts a very close game that could go either way, or on these smaller schools, there are times where it just seems like it doesn't understand necessarily what it expects from either team, and it's just going to go more towards the averages, and that's just kind of what it's going to go with. That's the best information it has from what it can see, and so that's the way it makes the pick. Teams that are way more consistent, the model gets way better reads and can predict the matchups way better. So you'll want to look at teams. If you don't want to pick teams that both have really bad losing records from bad conferences, that's just a bad recipe. They will have a lot of losses. The model will just expect both of them to lose a lot, and it's not going to pick up as much detail about what it takes for them to win a game. And I do apologize about this formatting. I didn't look this far, but I'm not going to mess with it and delay this anymore. I know these teams are kind of messed up. I'm going to get it back to the shortened abbreviations again so it doesn't look so cluttered tomorrow. But we are on the lower confidence. We are at 47 down to 30 on these. I think the biggest conference game we see is probably Memphis and North Texas on there. Just nothing big conference today, and a lot of these are very, very small margins. So I would, again, do your due diligence, look at these games, look at some stats, try to figure them out if you're going to use it. Obviously, the model will get some of these right. It's very good at getting 60 to 75% of the games right, depending on how many games are played in the day and what level of competition. So I would expect at least 2/3 of these to probably still be on the right side of the money line. That's what the confidence goes on, not by the spread. But just which ones is harder to figure out on days like this without having Big 12, Big 10, the SEC, ACC, all those teams playing. The model just does better on those. And here we are on the last page. So if you have any questions about any of these, if there's anything you don't understand, would like me to explain a little more, if you just want me to dig into any of these games for you before they start, I can do that for you, as long as I see the message in time. But good luck on anything that you pick, and we'll see you tomorrow.